Hello, this is Theisan from MMA Collector. Every week I will bring in a new piece of memorabilia from my personal collection and even bring in a few collector friends with some of theirs. Our goal is to raise awareness of MMA memorabilia collecting and discuss the historical people and fights that made this sport what it is today. Join me now while we take a stroll down memorabilia lane. On this episode, we're going to take a look at some items from the Randy Couture Chuck Liddell trilogy, including a one-of-a-kind piece of fight-worn memorabilia. I got a box here with some items from UFC 57, like we promised on last week's episode. And this would be from the trilogy fight of Chuck Liddell and Randy Couture.
Right, Randy, Chuck 3. Awesome stuff. And, a historic fight for a historic podcast, right?
Chuck Liddell and Randy Couture fought their trilogy at the same time as the Tito Ortiz, Ken Shamrock trilogy. Delivering the two rivalries concurrently turned Zuffa into a powerhouse and left the four men mainstream stars. Let's start out here with the event T-shirt. This T-shirt would have been sold right at UFC 57.
Okay.
Pretty interesting T-shirt on the back. It's got the whole fight card on the back. Kind of a nice shirt. Doesn't look like it's ever been worn.
There you go.
Kind of cool to have it with the event.
For sure. Those are not cheap, even though it kind of looks like a simple T-shirt. The UFC pops you a good dime, especially at a main event like that, for sure. Probably $30 shirt.
It's worth a little more in the condition it's in now than it was the day it was bought, though. Just there's probably not a whole lot of these floating around anymore.
Yeah, for sure.
Couture would win this encounter, cementing his legacy as a two-weight class champion. Chuck Liddell would have to wait. Then we're moving on. We'll go to the credential, which was one of the promoters, Leon Tabs. And that's kind of a cool little item to have.
Yeah, I think he's the corner man, so he gets a promoter pass because he's got anybody who is within the ring's protection is supposed to be licensed by the boxing commission. So this would be his credential to say that he's licensed, and I believe Leon Tabs obviously is a cut man, so he'd have to have access to the octagon, which is probably what the green dot is, kind of thing. So yeah, there's a bunch of those floating around at every event, but they all disappear. But after the event, this is Leon Tabs, the corner man's, and that's ring octagon access.
Okay. Chuck would wait until April of 2005 after both men were featured as rival coaches on The Ultimate Fighter Season 1. It took just 2 minutes for Chuck to score the KO. Chuck Liddell took the crown as the UFC's biggest star. Then we have the program from UFC 57. It's kind of a bigger program, which they've been doing for a long time now. Just got the two fighters on the cover. I'll show you kind of inside of it. Just your standard program with bios on each fighter. Nice to have it be. I wish it was signed by the card, but it's pretty nice still.
Yeah, that looks to be in pretty tip-top shape. And, I saw some names in there, Elvis Sinisic out of Australia. You had Nick Diaz, young Nick Diaz there. So definitely something that was a card, packed through and through, and then topped by, the legendary Randy Chuck bout. But that program there in mint condition is a nice little piece.
It is. The third fight would break the record for live gate with 3.3 million, beating the record Couture and Liddell set at UFC 52. In round 1, Liddell would break Couture's nose with an uppercut, causing a lot of bleeding. Chuck finished the job in round 2, getting the ref stoppage. The win gave Chuck a 2-1 advantage in this historical trilogy.
Jeremy Horn fought Chuck Liddell at UFC 54. After beating Horn, Chuck went on to fight Randy Couture for the third time.
Oh, yeah. So between the first and second fight that I had with Chuck, he definitely developed a lot of power. In our first fight, I didn't think that he hit particularly too hard. But then in our second fight, man, that was a different animal. He had way more power, way more intent on what he was going to do and not do. It was night and day difference. And I knew that after that fight, I knew that Randy was going to have his hands full.
Well, now we'll move to the main feature of this week's item, and this would be the shorts that Chuck Liddell wore.
Whoa.
And, as you can see, there's a lot of DNA on them from Randy Couture.
Yeah. Oh, yeah.
They've never been washed. These were actually given to the sponsor. Her name was Marley Powers. I don't know why they missed the S here. Well, he says Marley Power, but after the event, Chuck took these shorts off in his locker room and handed them to Marley, and she had them for several years. I was lucky enough to find these for sale on eBay, actually, and bought them directly right from Marley herself. These are
awesome. Yeah,
these are like
old,
really awesome shorts.
For sure. That's the old school shorts. Actually, before the look at that. Zions was a UFC company with some questionable finances going on there, but they were a big sponsor of fighters. And then Tap Out, obviously the old school guys. Marley Power, I guess, is a fan sponsor. And
Marley was kind of like connected with Zions a little bit with one of the executives from Zions. So
gotcha.
And she ended up sponsoring. Her name I have a few pair of shorts, like some other fighters as well with her on them, as that I actually bought a few other things from her the same time that I bought these. But these are the prize of everything that I bought for Marley Powers.
For sure. Well, and fight worn stuff with two Hall of Famers there, and you got the DNA of the one who didn't wear them. So yeah, you can't go wrong. It's got everything.
Yeah. Pretty happy to have them.
The importance of Randy Couture and Chuck Liddell's trilogy on early Zuffa history cannot be lost. The April 9th, 2005 between Forrest Griffin and Stefan Bonner, that was the finale of The Ultimate Fighter Season 1, is widely credited as the UFC's breakthrough fight, and rightfully so. But after a battle like that, what the UFC did for an encore was just as important, and on the table just 1 week later, April 16th, came Chuck Liddell versus Randy Couture 2. Liddell would even a series with Couture at 1 fight apiece, setting up the trilogy in February of 2006. And how big was UFC 57? When the two met for the third time? You can check IMDb, the movie database, and you will see that both Chuck Liddell and Randy Couture went Hollywood right around this time. And as we record in 2023, the 4th edition of The Expendables is being filmed right now with Randy Couture as one of the lead characters. I want to thank Ed Theisan for bringing us back to the Randy Couture Chuck Liddell trilogy through the eyes of a collector. Can't wait to see what more Ed has in store for us.
Don't forget to join me on the next episode for items from the late, great Kevin Randleman.
If you enjoyed our video, take a moment to like and share, and subscribe to the MMA Collector on YouTube and join our collector community.